and everybody.
Hi.
So,
Hi, Wendy.
yes.
So we're calling this meeting to order. This is the March 17, 2016 Pikes Peak Area Council of Government Transportation Advisory Committee meeting. It's about 1:35, and we have a quorum, and I'll start with doing introductions. Jennifer Irvin, El Paso County.
Brian Batuli, City of Colorado Springs, Mountain Metro Transit.
Also sitting here is Brian Batuli.
Yeah, excuse me.
Darren Horsemeyer, Streeter Air Force Base.
Rick Orphan, Fort Carson. Robert Doss, Town of Palmer Lake.
Craig Casper, PPACG.
Michael Snow, CDOT.
Aaron Busto, Federal Highways.
Larry Manning, Town of Monument.
Wade Burkholder, City Manager Springs.
Victoria Chavez, El Paso County. And the audience.
Kate Brady, City of Colorado Springs.
Matt Steiner with the Gazette.
Kevin Reyes, PPACG.
Jennifer Valentine, PPACG.
Ken Frather, PPACG.
And on the phone, we have Wendy.
She's muted.
I think she's there.
Wendy Pettit, CDOT. Oh!
He used to be.
So Michael will call her back, and
Yeah.
in the back there.
Was that her cell or her office?
Rachel Beck, also PPACG.
Welcome, everybody. We have today's agenda in front of us, do we have a motion for approval for the agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have public comments for items not on the agenda. This is for anybody to bring forth anything that is not specifically on the agenda already today. Anything. Great. During this time, might it be good to introduce some of the new people you have, maybe?
So, well, they're signing in. So we'll, Jennifer and Kevin, if you want to stand up real quick, just give a brief introduction and to everybody, we know where you came from and stuff.
Yeah, I'll just stand over here. Yeah, my name is Kevin. I just started yesterday as a transportation planner. I'm originally from Phoenix and graduated last year from Arizona State with my master's in urban planning, and I'm excited to be here.
So this is day 2 of your job? You came
Day
back
2, yes.
after the first day. Okay.
Who's
And
next?
Jennifer Valentine. This is my 3rd week, I guess. Originally from North Carolina, but I most recently came from Boulder. I was there for about 9 or 10 years and been doing transportation planning for a while.
Welcome. And then Kathleen, did you want to introduce
Certainly.
new city staff
Okay,
member?
you want to stand up? The city is really pleased to have a new senior senior bike planner join the city. Kate Barnes, right?
Brady.
Brady, my former office specialist was Kate Burke, and so I'm never going to get, in my attempt to come up with a B name other than Burke, I'll never hit Brady, but thank you, Kate.
Which is fine.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, did you want to tell us anything about yourself?
I most recently worked for the Town of Monument. Prior to that, I was a bicycle and pedestrian planner at the MPO in Oklahoma City. And I'm also very glad to be here.
Thank you. Alrighty, anything else for the good of the public comments items not on the agenda?
Who's Rachel? Is this the talking about new employees
Yes.
area? I don't know
Yes.
how many of you heard, but Jacqueline is leaving us next week. She got a really awesome position at City Hall working with City Council as their assistant to council. And we have Anna Stevens, who is taking her place. I promised her she wouldn't have to say anything about herself, but we're really excited to have her here to work with us.
Thanks. Great, thanks, Rachel. Anna, did you want to tell us anything about yourself?
Apparently
No?
It's fine. It's fine.
That's fine. And then also, it looks like Tim Roberts with the City of Colorado Springs has made it to the meeting, so thanks, Tim. Alrighty, next item is the approval of the February 18, 2016 meeting minutes. Does anybody have any comments or corrections? Did everybody read it? Alrighty, do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second? Do I have a second? Really, guys? I have a second for the motion for approval of the minutes.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approval of the minutes passes unanimously. So,
Tough one.
next is the March 9th Board of Directors report.
The board didn't have much transportation on the agenda. The one action they had was to approve amending the memorandum of agreement with CDOT on how we do administrative modifications to include emergency relief funding. So that was their one action item regarding transportation. We're taking that through the re-signatory process. So, and then we went over some of the FAST requirements for plans and tips that talked about the fact that MAP 21's expired and we still don't have all the rules. We didn't, make too much fun of Federal Highway for that. So,
Well, we have the safety and the HSIP now.
yeah, the
so
safety are out.
Progress.
It is progress. So,
Alrighty. Next item is the recommend tip for release of the public comment. This is a review and recommend item. Craig Casper, Transportation Director.
so the packet had the tip body in it, and then what we did is the tip table. And we saw Victoria sent out some changes to that I guess clarified some of what was agreed on. The big difference is we moved money from one pot to the other, and when PPACG did it, we kept the project cost the same at the federal level, so the match and the federal monies changed a little bit, and that's back to correcting some of those to what was agreed on federal funding-wise in the agreement. So at this point, I think based on the email exchange I saw, that people are more happy with what Victoria sent out as the list of projects and funding levels. So that part would replace those sections, the funding level by year in the PPACG table. Does that clear so far?
Yes, especially since you said funding level by year,
Yes.
because 30th Street got moved into 2020.
Yeah. Then, at the meeting, Kathleen did agree. She said she'd prefer not to, but if we had to put it in 2021, it was okay. I guess that's changed.
On my defense, I'd had 3 slices of banana bread.
Okay.
Sugar high, I know.
So, but, so those with the Kathleen, or not the Kathleen, the Victoria chart by year by funding category is what I assume we're working from now? Is that what everybody?
The latest version that she sent out.
Yeah, the one
last evening.
yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That has the transit planning study monies in all 3 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, that's this one. So,
And so, as I understand it too, Craig, there needs to be some cleanup on some of the project descriptions in general.
right, yeah,
to
and it goes,
accompany that each individual entity could probably forward to you
okay.
before the board meeting.
Yep, and it goes back, we also need, the existing tip also, some more detail, going back to that discussion from months ago, that we're lacking necessary detail on some of the projects. In talking with Wendy, and if you, I don't remember, it was at the workshop we talked about it, the phasing and having a planning environmental phase, right-of-way utility phase, and a construction phase. We're going to need to do that for all the projects, existing tip and this tip. That's obviously not happening with this adoption of the tip, so we'll need to go through and workshop, either individually meet with you to figure out the project phases and funding by year, and then come back, to, I guess, to a workshop format to flesh out any issues with that. But that's something that is going to be necessary to do with our tip now.
Would that be an administrative amendment then when we do that?
It can't, oh, God, I'd like to think so. I honestly don't know right now. Because we're not technically adding money, but we will be clarifying, so phase A is planning and environment. Phase B is utilities right away, and Phase C is construction. And I think those were the three that we talked about, sort of those in that order. So, you may have the environment done, but you don't have design done, so then it would just be the design is that part, and you may not have any utilities or right away, so that can just skip to, but we'll need to, those are sort of the three phases that we need to lay out to get funded, because we can't say we're going to do planning, design, right-of-way, and construction is one project, because the project gets scoped, contracted as the separate phases, and we'll have the construction sitting for 2, 3, 4 years, and that's not going to work with the CDOT's cash management. So we'll have to have to go through that process. The good news is it will possibly allow some of the planning studies to be done earlier, if that's desired, because it'll take a while to get to construction. But we'll need to work all those. Each project is going to be different. We'll have to sit down with the local entities, get those figured out with description, and then make the it'll be phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, or A, B, C, or something. Or construction phase, right away, whatever you all think is the better descriptor.
So is design and then right-of-way?
They're separate.
Be separate?
They're separate. So, because you can't do right away till you have the design. So.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Yeah.
running into that right now.
Yep.
How would I, if I got my design approved, but they need right-of-way?
Then it'd be the right-of-way phase. And the projects have all been, pretty much all been funded for all the phases. So then you have the money for right-of-way or utilities or whatever in the project.
Yeah, but it's behind
Right.
the design.
Yeah, it's behind the design, yes. Any questions, comments? The tip body, we're still in the process of fine-tuning that. Pretty much the same as the 2013 tip body, except that instead of map 21, or whatever it was, we're talking about the FAST Act. So that's what we're going through now, is clarifying the funding programs, what they can do, and the funding levels. So, are there any? So what we'd be looking for is a recommendation of release for public comment.
Before we make a recommendation, I sent in comments on Tuesday
I have not seen that.
to what was sent out to all of us regarding the tip table. And for the 16 and 4 bus stop improvement project that I withdrew,
That's okay. Okay.
somebody put in there a note that right-of-way issues were not accounted for. And I never said anything like that. So, I mean, if you need a justification for why it was withdrew.
16 and 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
You could just say, like the same message that you put on other projects, applicant to pursue other funding opportunities.
Okay.
I'm not sure where, I mean, right away,
Yeah, I can't.
acquisition was included in that.
Okay, yeah, well, the Galley Road multimodal, use the same as that one, withdrawn by applicant to pursue other funding opportunities.
That's perfect.
Okay, we'll just copy and paste that up there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Sorry, I was out of town till midnight last night, so.
That's fine. Thanks.
Craig, when we go over breaking out our TIP projects into the separate phases, I recommend you meet with us one-on-one.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
way-
I think
that
it'd
way
be
we
more
don't-
productive, right? And if you all could, start, maybe we let you take a look at it first, and then so when we get there, it's just more cleaning up and then starting from scratch, because you're going to know better your projects than we are, so.
All right, I think we have a couple changes we might like to make on it too, and we all need to clean up our descriptions, which we haven't done yet. So can we move to release it for public comments with changes from the spreadsheet to come in the next week?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally do that. And then I'll make sure those get to the CAC, because they're meeting a week from yesterday, I believe.
So I think I had a motion there.
So let me clarify that, my fuzzy motion. We're going to move that we release for public comment the amended and emailed yesterday version of the TIP selected projects, and to include the descriptions table with changes to come in the next week.
Perfect.
I'll second.
And if you, when you send the
That-
changes.
I think that includes the comment table, just clarification. You said description table.
Descriptions and comments, you are
Okay.
correct.
Yep. And if you could, when you send them to everybody, so everybody, if anybody sees something they don't agree with, and it lets everybody know what the changes are, so.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Any comments from our audience? Alrighty, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I just want to thank the TAC members who attended the workshop and the member governments who came, because I think that was very helpful in making this a lot easier. And then also Victoria for doing some extra work to get us to a point on the table that I think everybody could agree upon. So thanks.
Well, and I thank you all for taking the time to review it and, you know, had to make some sacrifices on a couple of our parts, but I think we got there, so go team.
Thank you, Victoria,
You're welcome.
and everybody else for that
Yeah.
matter.
So, and then,
And we should all try and have those comments and changes before the CAC meeting would probably be best, so that they could take the CAC, a complete one to pass.
so Craig, when does your packet go out for CAC?
The CAC, it's out, it went out yesterday.
Yeah,
Oh.
we just need to have
So-
one that they
so
can
we'll correct
take
it.
right
Yeah.
there.
What?
We've got
2 weeks from yesterday.
Oh, that's right. So it goes out next week. I forgot, it's a 5 Wednesday month.
Lovely.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So if we can get them
Awesome.
to you in a week, you can have them in the CAC packet
Yep.
completed.
perfect.
Probably preferably by end of business Monday, so that you can update that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So end of business Monday, everybody.
No, I just.
There's not significant changes, so hopefully
there's-
everybody
it's-
can get those out.
Just getting the detail that we needed.
Oh,
yeah.
project description.
Alrighty, item number 7, the fiscal year 2016 TIP project status report. This is an informational item. Craig Casper.
And this is, our project delay has a regular status updates. And so what we did is, a couple of months ago, we requested project status, and then it turns out that CDOT's report covers the vast majority of what we need. So we sent that out with the status report. The principal outcome of this is that there are some projects that are in 2016 that we're going to roll forward now into 2017. With this point in March, we're going to need to move those. It's unlikely many of them are going to move forward, so they'll be rolled forward into 2017. And the first time that happens, it's sort of a no harm, no foul. PPACG staff can do it. If those projects then don't get moved forward next year, then it goes through a much more rigorous process with the TAC, the CAC, and the board to make sure those funds are moving. And I don't think, and I'm 99% sure there's no 2015 projects that are in that boat, but I actually haven't sat down to look at the roll forward list. So,
Craig, we still had some outstanding projects that still, just recently added money that still need to be finalized in the TIP as far
Okay.
as putting those in the right years or whatever. I know that we were going to discuss that at the workshop. I'm not sure if that fully got addressed. When are we going to see those?
I thought that went out in this with the TIP because those are part of the TIP. I'm actually paging through trying to find it. But I thought we
Those
had.
were administrative modifications that needed to be finalized.
Exactly. So, and it was just because they weren't changing the funding levels, it was just the year. We're just moving it around to make it work. But I don't see that here, but I can send that out this afternoon after this meeting. I will tell you that is probably where we're going to start on from the for the phasing discussion, because right now all the funds are all consolidated, or I guess more rationally so. It's not 16 and 19, it's 16 and 17, and 17 and 18 instead of 17 and 19. So that's happened, and that's where we'll start the Phase A, Phase B, Phase C discussion from. So, but yeah, I don't see it in the packet, so I'll send that out as soon as this meeting's over.
Any other questions Anybody? Discussion?
And just to clarify, that is what I would have as the tip, what is sending out right now is what would be the tip tables for public comment, is those funds crunched together. So if there's something that doesn't work, that we'll address it in the public comment period, so if that's acceptable to everybody.
Wow, everybody's really quiet today.
Seriously.
Any further discussion on that item? Anything from the audience? All righty. Looks like we have our next item is Ms. Beck, our 2016 state legislation. This is a discussion item.
Good afternoon, Rachel Beck, Policy and Communication Manager. I see the microphone has been adjusted to my height here. We're about halfway through the session now, and about 550 bills have been introduced at the state legislature. We're tracking about 60 of them, and we're starting to see a lot of them start to move through. So I'll just give you some updates on bills that are of interest to the group, ones that the board has taken a position on, and then there are 3 or 4 new ones that I want to talk to you about, one in particular that's shaping up to be one of our key bills. House 1018, the Transportation Advisory Committee procedures, which would allow the STAC to directly advise the commission and not just CDOT, has been signed by the governor, so that will become law. 1138, general fund transfers for state infrastructure. Did we talk about that one at the last meeting? I can't remember. That one may have come and died between meetings. That's the bill that we saw last session as well, that would allow to extend the window of time that transfers can be made from the general fund to Senate Bill 228 projects. So you may remember, if there's excess money in the state budget, then a certain amount of that is supposed to go to transportation unless there's so much extra money that we trigger a TABOR refund situation. And we have seen a TABOR refund in the last several years, and so this bill would simply extend the window of time to allow for 5 full years of those transfers to happen. But unfortunately, that one was killed in committee. 2 bills that the board opposed, as well as this committee: House 1205, the motorcycle lane splitting bill, and Senate Bill 11, which was repealing faster funds for transit projects, were killed in committee. I think we talked about Senate Bill 11 already. Sorry, at this point, things are changing every week. I give this update every week, and I can't remember which updates I've given to whom, so I apologize.
That's great, Rachel. No big deal.
Okay, thanks. So let me move on now to the new bills. On February 29th, there was a bill introduced that pertains to regional transportation authorities. That's House 1303. And it would prohibit regional transportation authorities from levying sales tax on vacant land that had never generated sales tax that was annexed by a non-member jurisdiction. So this relates to the Fountain annexation. Dwayne?
Right up 85.
So we've been expecting a bill of this nature to come at some point, and now we have it.
That would be one of you.
Staff has a number of concerns on this bill. There's a lot that is left unsaid, and so that makes it unclear as to what the implications of this bill would be, not just for the PPRTA and our existing conditions, but what would happen for future annexations or for other RTAs or special districts around the state. The PPRTA board has taken a strong position of opposition to this bill. In addition, the city and the county and the Regional Business Alliance are also opposing this bill, and it is a very active opposition. The lobbyists have all been engaged, and this has a hearing next Wednesday in the local government committee. So this one's been given a lot of time and consideration by a number of local staff members. So questions, comments on that one?
So Rachel, last month at the board, the PPACG board took a position not to take a position, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry, Dwayne, I'll stop looking at you.
I had nothing to do with it.
All right.
I'm
If
along
there
for the ride.
If there are no other comments on that one, then I will move on to the next one.
Good idea.
Which is House 1304, and that's an interesting one. I'm just going to read some of it to you because it's a long one and pretty detailed. Concerning community conversations on transportation priorities and preferred funding options. This requires CDOT to hold at least one community conversation in each TPR, no later than October 1st of this year, to allow the public to discuss top priorities for transportation projects and preferred means of raising the revenue to fund those priorities. There's some specifications in here on how the notice would be made, and when the meetings would be held. And then it stipulates that a representative of the TPR on the statewide Transportation Advisory Committee has to convene an open house meeting or a panel of individuals with expertise in transportation and economic development. That same person must lead the meeting or serve as the chair of the panel. The meeting or panel must also include any member of the Transportation Commission and any regional transportation director for CDOT who represents the TPR. And a number of other important people in the community would be invited to attend, but attendance is not mandatory. Then, no later than November 1st of the same year, that TPR representative has to come up with a report that he or she would submit to the director of CDOT with a summary of the meeting, ranking the transportation priorities and the preferred means of funding them. Then, in turn, the CDOT director has to compile all those regional reports into a statewide report, which also ranks all those things, and then present that report before the commencement of the 2017 regular legislative session. So, I suspect that where this is coming from is some concerns about how the different transportation planning processes are working together or not. We're all coming up with our lists, CDOT's coming up with their lists, and do they work together? So, I think the intent of encouraging public input is great. The board, however, did choose to take a position of opposition on this bill just because it is so prescriptive in how we would do that. And they felt that a lot of what's dictated in this bill is already covered in our existing processes when we make our local plans. Questions or comments on that one? Public comment.
Kathleen.
Yes, I do count as the public. Kathleen Krager, City Traffic Engineer from Colorado Springs. And I just want to provide a little different perspective on that bill, and that being the potential that the state legislature wants to start assigning our priorities in transportation across the state rather than locals and CDOT. I might point out that the last time that I can remember that the state legislature took a really active hand in transportation that did not go well was that the state legislature took away the ability to determine an appropriate speed limit, posted speed limit on state highways, and it is now prescribed by state law rather than done by the good judgment of traffic engineers. And CDOT has been embarrassed and faced with many problems as a result of that state law. I would just as soon not put the state legislature in the position of determining what our statewide priorities would be, because I don't know if we would ever have a statewide priority here in the Pikes Peak region if the state legislature were doing that. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathleen. I think that's a great way of sizing up that situation.
And I think the last time we had a bill where transportation projects were funded through something called a seventh pot,
I remember that.
we might not have gotten all of our money in.
Maybe none of it, yeah.
No, we got about 25, 30%.
Yeah, it's best left to planners and engineers.
Yes.
Alrighty. Anything else?
Next one on the list is Senate 122, and it concerns additional oversight of the Department of Transportation. It requires some additional audits and limits CDOT's lease purchase agreement authorization. So I thought you guys would find that one interesting. And then the last thing I'll mention is on the theme of transportation funding and where it might come from. We're hearing rumors that Transbond 2 proposal may drop this month. The hospital provider fee discussion also continues. That might be a source of additional dollars for transportation, but there's still a lot of disagreement, mostly along party lines, on whether that's appropriate or not and how that would be implemented. And then the latest wrinkle is the question that if we were to remove that fee money out from under the Tabor cap, would the cap just drop down along with it, getting us to a net zero? So that still has to be resolved.
You know the answer to that.
That's all I wanted to mention to the committee, but if you have questions, comments, want to talk about any other bills, happy to do that.
When do you anticipate an updated status coming out?
Tomorrow.
Good, okay. I'll look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel, for
Thank you.
including us on all those emails. I think it's very helpful.
Well, I certainly appreciate your expert input, so thank you.
All righty, moving right along. Item number 9, the Long-Range Transportation Plan Amendment. This is a review and recommend item. Mr. Craig Casper.
One of the requirements, among the requirements of the tip that we just recommended for release to public comment, is that all the projects that are in the tip be in or consistent with the long-range plan. Our long-range plan, we specified all of the projects that we were going to use the money for, and so to put the projects that are released in the tip, we need to take out the funding from projects that are in the plan in a like amount. That is the quickest summary. When we did the plan, we didn't do a real priority, but we did break the projects into sort of the first 10 years if they were a high priority, or the second 15 years if they were a lower priority. And so what the table is those projects that have funding in the second 15 years, 2025 to 2040. And you'll see some of them like, where's one that was a phase 2 or phase 3? Squirrel Creek Road Extension, we had that as phases, and so phase 1 is in the first part, but phases 2 and 3 are in the second 15, so that's how that's listed. We have the two funding categories, Metro funds and TAP funds, and our assumption was that the projects that were in the second 15 years would be the ones that would be most likely to be removed to fund the projects in the tip. Any questions so far? Okay, so what we are looking for, and I don't have the, I think it's $17 million total between TAP and Metro, but I don't have the exact number. Ken, do you have the number, funding? Scott, the amount of Metro and TAP that we need to take out total to make up for the tip, that were not covered in the.
Oh, I don't have it in front of me, but
Yeah.
we can get that number out pretty quickly.
So that we're looking for that to take those projects out of the plan, and then the plan will go out for amendment in a parallel process with the tip, so that we can adopt them.
So, clarify for me, I mean, at this point, with those projects that we have listed, we should know a good exact number of how many of those projects were in and how many of those
Right.
projects were out. And so then a relationship to the dollar
Costs.
amount.
Yep, and that's what, it didn't go out in the memo, so that's where we can get that number, but it's, like I said, it's between the two categories, it's about $17 million. It's at least 15 in Metro, it may be higher than that, I'd have to look. But,
We sort of kind of need to know that number.
yeah, that's good. Scott,
Pick projects.
Can you go
I mean, we can't make a recommendation on
without the
something we
number,
don't know
right?
about.
So take a 10-minute break, and we'll bring that number back down.
Hey, Craig, isn't the number that you're looking for or the information you're looking for on that back sheet, I was just kind of wondering why that was such a high amount.
What's a high amount?
Well, you have the sheet that you have attached where you have Metro funds available for removal.
Right. Those are the funds those are all the Metro funds that are being programmed, or that were in the plan after 2025, so in the second phase. That's why that's why there's so big a numbers, is because we didn't filter it beyond that. It's in the second part of the long-range plan funding period.
So what you're talking about here then is just taking those projects and swapping out
Right.
constrained versus the unconstrained. You're not talking about taking out between the yellow and the green sections.
No, no, no. Those are the ones that is the pool from which we will draw the level amount.
Pull from, okay, all right.
So do we know which of the projects that are on table that we just approved?
Yep, that's what
that need
Scott.
to be amended?
Because the actual projects didn't change from what we sent out in the memo. It's just the funding year changed, and the total funds didn't change. So we'll get that.
Well, I have an idea. Can we go to member entity announcements and then come back to that item? How does that seem for everybody? Let's do that. So I'm going to call for item number 10, member entity announcements. Dwayne.
Well, if you haven't heard, Dave Smedgerud is retiring from the city of Fountain. April 4th, I think, is his last day. And so we'll have to get an alternate for me submitted. So
I'm glad you said alternate and not substitute, because there wouldn't really be a substitute.
I know. And I think I was his alternate on our subcommittee, so task force, so we'll be submitting some revisions there.
How long had Dave been with the city Fountain? Long time?
About 30 years, I think.
Give him our best.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he has been on this committee previously.
Yep.
Correct, Craig?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody? Tim?
Yes, I'd like to introduce our new bike planner. Oh, you already did?
We did.
Okay. And then I'd also like to thank the committee and PPACG staff for the nice cards from a personal incident. So thank you all very much.
We wish you the best. Brian?
I just wanted to announce May 1st will be our service changes for the spring. In January, we had 6 public meetings throughout our service area, and we're moving forward with most of what was in the proposal. There's been a few modifications, but those changes will take effect on Sunday, May 1st.
Anybody else? I'll let you know about one. We have a project funded with federal funds. It's our Black Forest Culvert project. As you know, we had to close the road because we lost the culverts. They were accelerated by some of the Black Forest fires. So we lost those and closed the road October 22nd and had been working furiously with CDOT to get that project out to bid and awarded, and I'd like to say it was awarded, I think March 7th or 9th or something like that. Anyway, our contractor is starting work, and so I just want to tell you how much I appreciate CDOT in helping us get to add, because we turned that around pretty quickly. As you know, there's a lot of hoops to jump through to get a project out to bid and under contract, so I just wanted to thank all of CDOT staff who were involved in that. So, anything else from anybody?
Don't you have something else to announce?
Can we do a member
Unless you want.
a member question?
What's that?
The county's major thoroughfares study.
Yes.
Where do you stand on that development of that?
We are in the middle of adjusting the TASs for land use, and then we'll be doing our first needs assessment, the first one of the model.
Is that something that you can bring to PPACG at some point, or even maybe us meet one-on-one or something like that?
I already have my consultants on task to call you this week, and especially Monument, because I know you have big things going on, and I want to make sure the land use TASs reflect that. You're so big that I wanted to make sure we talk to you. Dwayne, I'm happy to offer that to you as well. I know you well enough. And Bob, if you'd like to meet, you're kind of small. So, are you okay with what PPACG had in the small area plan?
pretty much.
Yeah, so as long as all the jurisdictions are okay with what was in the small area plan, we're good to go, but I want to capture the monuments, new development, and anything new, Benning Lewis Ranch, that may be going on in the city. So you'll be hearing from them later on.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the comment, though. We're going to have a nifty new tool. You can actually go in and put comments online.
Nice.
For the land use, data. So there's 3 or 4 different categories. You can click on the tabs and say, too little growth here, it's going to grow faster, and we can take those comments in. So that's probably going to go out tomorrow, I'm hoping, likely by Monday. So that'll be up there on the website very, very soon.
Thanks.
Alrighty. Anything else as far as member entity announcements? Well, go ahead and move forward to future TAC meetings, and then we'll jump back to the long-range transportation amendment. So anything, items for future TAC meetings? Craig?
Hopefully the plan amendment and the tip, and then we'll do a workshop on the phasing of the projects. And I think that is the immediate future. And then we'll start the whole planning process over again, but it'll probably take a month or 2 between.
So at our last meeting, we discussed setting up some separate workshops in regards to regional traffic counts and pavement management. Has that occurred yet?
We have not done that. Actually, I haven't told my new people to be doing that.
But we'll be doing that. We're going to be doing some workshops on regional data gathering and traffic counts, pavement condition, anything else that everybody needs. Try to do it efficiently and effectively for everyone. So.
Does anybody else have any subjects for future TAC meetings? Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take a few-minute break since I don't see. So let's take a 10-minute break.
But I don't know if Bruxton and Jackson
Go ahead and call the meeting back to order. We're back on item number 9, the long-range transportation plan amendment.
And I put my pen down. Yes, I am ready, although I put my pen down probably upstairs somewhere. What I just passed around is a list of all the projects from the long-range plan that have Metro dollars. And the second column from the right is the total they have in Metro dollars. So Briargate Stapleton Road, $95 million. Academy over Sand Creek Bridge, almost $25 million. So if the projects in the TIP are not listed here, they are not receiving Metro dollars, and so that amount of funding needs to come out. So I think we can go through it relatively quickly.
So, Craig, what's the dollar amount that needs to come out?
That's what I'm going to...
In the total
It's like
here,
it's like 13 million, but I'm trying to get the 13.
12,530.
$12,530,551. $12.5 million. So, where's?
Could you just clarify kind of the column headings here on this sheet?
Oh.
The first column is.
The first on this sheet is the project name, project sponsor, whether it's from the previous plan or if it's a revised description from the previous plan. I don't remember what the column that's blank for most of it is. The second or the next column, the $37 million, that is the funding in the first 10-year period. The next one is the funding in the second 10-year period. The third column, the $95 million column, that is the total funding for that project. And then the column over is when the funding is the ones and twos is when was funding for that project started. In period, first funding period or second?
Craig, I thought the sort of blank column with just a few numbers on it was what you were recommending to be removed, to make up that difference that you need.
Which would be about 20 million, 25.
Well, then what's the purpose for that column?
Yeah, I don't remember what the purpose for that column was. But yeah, it's not that, because this is actually from the worksheet when we were putting together the funding program. This predates the TIP by a couple of months, this table does. What I did is I just pulled out the Metro and TAP projects, so.
Which column is the Metro money?
I just realized that this is actually the combined Metro TAP. So since they're so flexible, if a project is eligible, we can just move them back and forth. It won't really matter. As far as like the historic bridge repair, that's bridge repair, and that can be TAP or Metro. Ruxton pedestrian bridge can be TAP or Metro. Park and ride. So a lot of them can be either. We just have to get to the
So, Craig,
12.53.
on our project list that just got passed, which projects are not in the
Plan.
plan?
Do you mind, Craig? Yeah, go ahead, Scott. You started this. Where's the? I left.
Since
This one.
isn't going to be approved by the board until June, correct? We're going
Yeah,
to
but we have. Yeah, we just have to release it. So.
Can't this,
So Briar, well,
everything is
Briar Gate is in.
presented to us properly, can we?
Academy is in. Creek is in.
Craig, did you hear that?
Yeah, I did. I think that works. I'm just going through.
I would recommend that we table this to next month, Craig.
Well, except we have to have the plan done, amendment done before the TIP is adopted. Yeah, well, it'll be the item before. So the plan will have to go out for public comment at the same time the TIP goes out for public comment.
But the TIP's not being approved by the board until June.
But it has to go, the plan has to go out for public comment at the same time the TIP goes out for public comment. Literally, our public meetings are going to be plan amendment, TIP. Two separate items. So.
Jennifer, the question that was posed with regard.
This should be a workshop item, and this should have been done right now. We should have been out of here by now.
With regards to the question of the projects that are not in the plan and or there are a number of projects that are on the unconstrained list. They're in the plan, but they're on the unconstrained list, and they would have to be moved over to the constrained list. The first one is the Hancock Academy Multimodal Improvements Project.
That's in the plan, unconstrained?
Unconstrained.
Okay.
Charter Oak Ranch Road, Victoria, we know the history on that one. That needs to be finally added in as well.
It's in the plan, right? So it's in the-
It's not funded with Metro, though, so that.
Yeah, it's a funding source issue. It's really not, it shouldn't be an issue.
It's in the plan, but not with Metro, so we'll have to take
Okay.
that.
So that one needs to be included in the total.
All right, yeah, and which is, the Ute Pass Trail is on the unconstrained list,
Okay.
and the Jackson Creek Parkway is not in the RTP.
Okay, so can somebody add those together? Because that's the dollar amount, right, that we need to get to.
So Jackson Creek,
Oh, the wetland one isn't in there either.
correct.
Wetland, yeah, sorry.
So can you read those again, Scott?
Yes, it would be, you want unconstrained or ones just not in the RTP? Or everything?
Tell me the projects that need to have funding taken out so they can be consistent.
That would be, we would have to do the Hancock Academy Multimodal.
30th Street,
30th Street. That has a description change. Charter Oak Ranch Road. Ute Pass Trail.
Jackson Creek.
Jackson Creek.
And
That would be it.
So,
Scott, the one you're reading off is not on this list.
No, this was an internal list that we had, and
follow on
just of the applications that were sent in and ones that were consistent with and not consistent with the TIP, or the RTP.
Kathleen?
Kathleen Krager, might I suggest that the jurisdictions, such as the city with their 30th Street project and with their Hancock project, be responsible for removing things from Metro to make up for what we've added to Metro, and the county remove things to make up for what they've added or whatever, so that we're sort of doing this fairly and not end up asking a jurisdiction to remove something from the plan when they didn't add anything to the plan. And that maybe if each jurisdiction is responsible, we can take a day or two at the jurisdiction and make a rational decision on what we think we should take out to replace what we've put in.
And that makes,
thought of that.
Oh, goody.
However,
Oh, shoot.
we don't have enough money in Metro to do it unless we remove Academy, and we can't remove Academy because we're actually going to build it.
Could you remove a portion of Academy?
and the other issue is Jackson Creek Parkway is Monument doesn't have any projects in the TIP, so they don't have anything to give up to fund their million and or whatever it is, 1.6 million.
I got nothing
How much
for
is
you.
how much is in the long range plan for the Briargate Stapleton connection?
That, it's got 3.2 million.
In the whole 40 in the long range plan?
Well, it's funded primarily, there's other sources funding it. So
Oh, so only the metro element.
the Metro, yeah, that funds, the column there shows the Metro funds for that project.
So is that the 37 million number?
No, that's
Yeah, the 37 is the project cost. The 3.287 is the Metro funds discounted back to present day value, because a lot of those funds are in future year, so they get inflated then. So discounting back to current year, that's 3.2 million in value.
Where am I seeing 3.2 million?
On this table.
This table,
Apparently not this one.
that's whether it's from the 2035 plan or not. So that was keeping it in from the 2035 plan. That's a new project that was not in, and this is revised from the 2035 plan.
Figure how much we're looking for, 12 million.
Yeah.
Craig,
But didn't he say this was all metro right here?
can we do an email vote?
Total.
Yeah.
project.
Because I'm
Yeah,
concerned
that's-
we're not going to figure this out today.
Right. No, I completely agree.
Is that possible?
I will take the
Kathleen.
heat for it if it's not technically possible.
Kathleen?
A couple questions before we go to email vote, because then
Okay.
we'll never be able to do this again. Why is it 12 million and not 9.625530? It was a specific question.
It was slightly specific, Kathleen. Good for you.
In looking at what the total project cost requested was, that's what the number was based on. If you're looking at just the what the federal dollars requested are, yes, that will reduce what the needed space is for the LRTP.
Okay, so
Federal money, we don't need to take out.
You need to find area in the constraints portion to do that. So if you take out what your total project costs are identified as in the plan, that's one thing. If you take the federal dollars out, yes, it's going to be drastically reduced.
so we just need to take out 9.625.
Yeah, the 12.5 is total project cost.
Okay, so we just need to take out 9.625 million, okay? Not 12 million.
Great.
Or
Dwayne,
15?
I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you a question. Go ahead. Okay.
So I've got a question to
Tim.
the chair. From what I heard, so the long-range plan release for public comment needs to coincide with the TIP release for public comment.
Concurrent,
But our
yes.
agenda, we're releasing the TIP for public comment, but not the long-range plan. So they automatically, they're not going to.
I don't have that answer.
They're not going to be. This is not a release for public comment, so they're not going to be in sync.
They probably should have said that. Probably just put the agenda.
Our other option
item.
is to not make a
A little wrong.
recommendation.
That's what I'm just thinking, is to not make a recommendation and try to make recommendations before it goes to the board individually as jurisdictions. Dwayne?
We talked to sidebar with
Let's,
You need a 5-minute
Let's
recess.
go ahead and do a 10-minute recess.
Let's go 5. Let's go 5.
So we're trying to reduce from this. What's going on?
I'm not tracking.
12 million?
But what are we even talking about? I'm so lost.
The projects that are supposed to be in the TIP are different than the ones that are in the plan.
Gotcha.
So we have to take projects out of the plan so we can put these in the TIP.
Gotcha.
That's what we're talking about.
Oh, then why'd you make it so complicated?
I didn't think we just need to, what it is nobody wants to give up their project. Somebody else takes this project.
Well, I get that, but and the projects are selected on a whole. Just because you lose a little bit from a project within one entity doesn't mean that entity keeps the dollar. You're not deciding on projects based on the entity that submits them, but based on the actual merits against the whole system of needs. Right?
What I didn't say is.
I don't think we have enough information to make a decision today, so I'm going to entertain a motion.
I move to table this discussion.
And I'd like to add to the motion if I can.
Please.
Maybe I'll turn my mic
Remove
on.
my motion and let you do it.
All
Okay.
right. I'd like to recommend that we table this item for today and let PPACG staff provide us the necessary information to make a good decision. And then we just do this by email vote by the end of next week. So, or maybe by next Tuesday, so it can go out into the CAC packet for consideration.
Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
I'd like some clarification. We should be specific to the details we need from staff. I noticed that on the Chapter 8, the Stapleton Briargate Parkway project is listed at $47 million, I think it is, funded STP Metro and RTA. And if you could give us a breakdown of those
Yep.
joint fundings.
Well, what I have is the two funding periods, the category of funding, and the amount by project. So each project, if it's getting, and by category, if you remember, we sub-allocated funds, so there's planning, bridge, congestion. So those are each a category, and some of them have more than one of those categories, but it's all metro funds. So there'll be two sets of columns, first funding period, second funding period, the amount of funding in there. And what I think I'll do is I'll discount it back to present day, as otherwise you have to do that on the fly. So we'll do that, and you'll see the funds that you can use to pull from it.
And just a very well thought out email giving us instructions on
what it is. Yep.
how much we need to swap out, and just to make our life a little
Simple.
bit easier. Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks.
We can
I
definitely
have
do
a
that.
motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I really need to know if I need to withdraw my $80,000 and what I got to cut that back by.
We want 20%.
Okay, since there's no other further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Since we already did our other items, before I call for adjournment, is there any other items that we need to discuss? Okay,
Easter.
Move for adjournment.
Thank you.
do I have a second for adjournment?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thanks, everybody.
Bye, Wendy.
Wendy?